20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki, a student at the University of Pittsburgh, vanished while vacationing in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and despite plenty of clues, she's still nowhere to be found. Her family is desperate for answers. Authorities are frustrated, and one man, the last person to see her, has given contradictory statements about what really happened that night. On March 6th, Sudiksha and her friends were staying at an upscale resort. That night, they went out for drinks at a local bar. CCTV footage shows her laughing, chatting, enjoying the night, until something changes. At one point, she's seen walking toward a pillar, appearing sick, likely from too much alcohol. Still, the night continued. As a power outage hit the bar, the group decided to leave. Cameras later captured Sudiksha walking hand in hand with Joshua Reba, a student from St. Cloud State University in Minnesota. At 4:15 a.m., they headed toward the beach. At 5:50 a.m., their friends left. And from that moment on, Sudiksha was never seen again. When police questioned Joshua Reba, his story kept changing. At first, he claimed Sudiksha entered the water, but the waves were too rough. He says he rescued her. Later, he stated they went separate ways. Then, in another version, he claimed he passed out on the beach, and when he woke up, she was gone. The next morning, at 8:55 a.m., Joshua was caught on security cameras returning to his resort. But something was off. His shirt and shoes, which he had worn at the bar, were missing. A search of the beach led to the discovery of Sudiksha's clothes, neatly left on a lounger. But she was still missing. Reba has been cooperating with authorities, but because he was the last person to see Sudiksha, he remains a person of interest. His passport has been seized, preventing him from leaving the country. His parents are outraged, claiming he's being unjustly detained and questioned without a lawyer or translator. For now, he's confined to his hotel room, only allowed out for police questioning. Initially, the case was thought to be an accidental drowning. But investigators aren't so sure anymore. They haven't ruled out foul play. And Joshua's refusal to answer certain questions, on the advice of legal counsel, has only deepened suspicion. Over 300 people have scoured the area, desperately searching for any sign of her. So far, nothing. But local authorities have vowed to keep looking, and until Sudiksha is found, they will continue questioning everyone involved, because somewhere out there, someone knows the truth, and her family won't rest until they find it. A routine shopping trip has turned into a mystery, one that may have ended in murder. 54-year-old Julie Buckley vanished on January 28, 2025, and while authorities fear the worst, her body has never been found. She was last seen on CCTV footage, shopping at a store in March, Cambridgeshire, England. That grainy video remains the only known sighting of her before she disappeared without a trace. But then, a chilling discovery. Days after Julie was reported missing, a fisherman made a disturbing find: human hair tangled in debris in a nearby river. Forensic testing confirmed it belonged to Julie. What happened to her? Police divers searched the water while officers scoured the riverbanks, hoping to find more clues. But there was nothing. Then, another lead. On January 30th, a mysterious phone call was made to the police. A witness claimed they saw something suspicious near Bedlam Bridge, the very same area where Julie's hair was found. They described seeing a car parked on the wrong side of the road, and then someone throwing something into the water below. Could this have been Julie? As the investigation continued, authorities pleaded with the public. Check your dash cams. Review your CCTV footage. Someone, somewhere, may have caught something important. Julie had been missing for almost 2 weeks before police were alerted. Her home was searched, but nothing unusual was found. Then came a shocking arrest. 47-year-old Carl Hutchings from Christchurch was charged with murder. But police don't believe he acted alone. 3 other individuals were taken into custody, suspected of helping him after the fact. Their names, however, have not been released. As authorities continue the search, they've urged dog walkers, fishermen, and local farmers to keep an eye out for newly disturbed soil, any potential sign of a hastily hidden grave. Meanwhile, forensic experts are conducting further tests on the hair sample. If it is confirmed to be Julie's, investigators will be more certain than ever that she met a violent end, and Hutchings will face even graver charges. But without a body, many questions remain. What happened to Julie Buckley? If you saw anything that night, or have any information that could help investigators, you're urged to call 101, quoting Operation Dragonfish, because no lead is too small, and Julie's family deserves answers. Imagine the fear of knowing your loved one is missing in a foreign country, completely out of your reach. The investigation is no longer in your hands. All you can do is wait. This is the harrowing reality for the family of 32-year-old Charlotte Peet, a British journalist who mysteriously disappeared while in São Paulo, Brazil. Her movements before she vanished only deepen the mystery. Charlotte boarded a flight to Brazil in November 2024 without telling her family why. Months later, on February 8, 2025, she was last seen in São Paulo. Before her disappearance, Charlotte had been traveling. She met a friend in Rio de Janeiro on March 15th and stayed at a hostel in Copacabana until February 17th, when she moved to another hostel in Botafogo. Then, she was never heard from again. But police uncovered something concerning. Charlotte's last known location was in a slum area called Morro de Babilonia, an area that has raised serious concerns. Authorities have been trying to track her through her phone, but it's proven difficult. Her Brazilian phone, it can't receive calls. Yet strangely, her British number has been receiving text messages and calls. Then came the first major breakthrough. CCTV footage surfaced from February 15th, showing Charlotte at a bar in Rio. She seemed relaxed. She even took selfies. In another video, Charlotte was seen at her hostel reception desk, dropping off a bundle of laundry. She waited for a receipt, then walked away. Carrying 2 black bags, one much larger than the other, along with a plastic bag of food. But what happened after that? Investigators later uncovered more CCTV images, showing Charlotte on a bus in Rio and sitting at a bar near Copacabana Beach. That bus ride? It happened on the same day she vanished. Then came another strange clue. Charlotte purchased a ticket to travel from São Paulo to Rio, but she never used it. This has led authorities to consider another possibility, that she may have vanished voluntarily and is choosing not to contact her family. In the weeks that followed, investigators searched hospitals and morgues, fearing the worst. But they found no trace of her. Her family believes Charlotte may have been planning to return home. Before she disappeared, she posted on Facebook, asking if anyone knew of a double room to rent in London. They're also worried about her well-being, as she has struggled with a party lifestyle in Brazil before, an issue that once forced her to briefly return to London before heading back to South America. Now, they just want answers. For now, Charlotte Peet remains missing. You're urged to contact the Brazilian authorities immediately if you see her or have any information. A 36-year-old man disappears without a trace, leaving his family desperate for answers. Lee Horton, a 36-year-old man from Worcestershire, England, has been missing since March 12, 2025. His family is growing increasingly concerned, making urgent appeals to the public, fearing that something terrible may have happened to him. The last time they heard from Lee was on February 11th, just one day before he disappeared. He had called them, saying he was in Bristol, a city he often visited. Lee loved traveling the country, seeing new places and meeting new people. But this time, something was different. When his family couldn't reach him the next day, they immediately contacted police, because this wasn't like him. Lee had made one thing clear during that last phone call. He told them exactly where he was. He said he'd be back home later that day. He was planning to catch a train soon, but he never came home. Investigators uncovered a troubling detail. On February 11th, Lee tried to book accommodation in Bristol, but he didn't have enough money. Desperate, he went to a bank in Clifton, possibly to withdraw funds. But what happened next is a mystery. Then came the first real lead. CCTV footage captured Lee walking along Upper Magdalen Street at 10:45 a.m. on March 11th. Just 15 minutes later, another camera spotted him on Queen's Road at 11 a.m. In both videos, he appeared normal. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't looking over his shoulder. He simply vanished. In the footage, Lee is seen wearing a dark grey zip-up jacket, a white shirt, blue jeans, and dark-coloured shoes. He had a neatly trimmed beard and mustache, short brown hair, and carried a backpack. His expression, stern, but otherwise, nothing seemed unusual. So, where did he go? Lee stands 5 feet 11 inches tall and has a distinctive birthmark on his right arm. Now his family is pleading for help. Police are asking the public to check their CCTV or dashcam footage, anyone who might have seen Lee or spoken to him. If you have any information, no matter how small, you're urged to call 999, quoting case reference 5225073-912, because right now, Lee Horton is still missing. A mother of 11 vanishes into the night, leaving behind only questions. It has been over 5 years since Cynthia Parisian was last seen on CCTV outside a Winnipeg Home Depot. What happened after she left the view of the camera remains a complete mystery. At the time of her disappearance, Cynthia's life was filled with challenges. A recent house fire had left her without a home. She was struggling to make ends meet, even pawning her electronics, including her phone, just days before she vanished. But despite these struggles, Cynthia still had so much to look forward to. She was the mother of 11 children and was soon to become a grandmother, something she was incredibly excited about. She was also looking forward to seeing one of her children graduate. 2 milestones that she would never get to see. February 17th, 2019. Cynthia was last seen at a Home Depot on Layla Avenue in Winnipeg. She was dressed for the cold weather, wearing a dark-colored coat and a bright pink hat, carrying a pink backpack. She only spent a few minutes inside the store. It's unclear if she even bought anything. Then she walked outside. CCTV captured her next moves. She stopped at a payphone near the store entrance. Then she walked across the parking lot. At that exact moment, a dark-colored truck had been circling the area. It pulled up and came to a stop. Did Cynthia get inside, or did she simply walk past? The footage was too grainy to tell, but that truck was the last known place she was seen. Then she was gone. From that moment on, Cynthia never contacted her family again, and for her loved ones, that doesn't make sense. she had so many reasons to stay in touch. The Winnipeg police released the CCTV footage, hoping to identify the truck's driver. They even made public appeals for any information, but no answers came. Her mother, sister, and stepfather continued searching, pleading for the public's help. But years later, the case remains unsolved. Cynthia Parisian is described as 5 feet 3 inches tall, with a heavy build, brown hair, and brown eyes. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the Missing Persons Unit at 204-986-6250 or Crime Stoppers at 204-786-8477. Because for 5 years, her family has been asking the same question. Where is Cynthia Parisian? In most cases, adults have the right to disappear. But how do you know if someone is exercising that right? Or if something unusual has happened to them? This is the mystery surrounding Paul Baker, a man who has been missing since the end of January 2024. The last time Paul's family saw him was January 13th, 2024. He had gone to visit his parents near Melton and Leicester, a typical visit. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary when he told them he was heading into town to have a few drinks with friends. Before leaving, Paul left his work car at their house, even handing over the keys, just in case the alarm went off. But the next day, Paul still hadn't returned home. His wife and parents tried calling him, no answer. His work hadn't heard from him either, and that's when the worry set in. Paul had spent over 20 years working at a company that supplied nursery and forestry plants, a job he truly loved. His family couldn't believe he would just walk away from it, or from them. After searching all over town, they finally contacted police, and Paul was listed as a missing person. It didn't take long before the police found CCTV footage that could help solve the mystery. Paul was seen at a Sainsbury's store withdrawing cash from his bank account. He was carrying a large backpack with what looked like a sleeping bag attached to the bottom. Then he stopped at a McDonald's, grabbed a coffee, and vanished into thin air. Paul's family believes he's on the move. There was a potential sighting of him in Peterborough in February. They followed other leads, but so far, no luck. After reviewing the CCTV footage, police concluded that Paul appeared to be in a normal mental state and was capable of looking after himself. With no evidence of foul play, the official investigation was closed. But Paul's family, they never stopped searching. If 6 months pass and Paul still hasn't been found, the Missing Persons charity will reopen the investigation. But for now, his family is on their own. Even if Paul left by choice, his family finds it hard to believe that he wouldn't at least contact his parents, people he was very close with. In an April appeal, they made a heartfelt statement, assuring Paul that nobody is angry with him. They just need to know he's safe. The last known sighting of Paul was in February in Peterborough. But if he's still out there, has something happened to him since? Paul Baker is described as 5 feet 6 inches tall, with a slim build, receding grey hair and stubble. He was last seen wearing a dark-colored jacket, jeans, white shoes, and a backpack. If you have any information, you can contact Paul's family through the Paul Baker Missing Person Facebook page, because somewhere out there, Paul Baker is missing, and his family is waiting for answers. Missing person cases are often baffling, but it's even more unsettling when the person disappears in a place they seemingly had no reason to be. That's exactly what happened to Daniel Mizzi, who vanished without a trace from St. Ives, Cornwall, in December 2023. Daniel came from a close-knit family and lived in Plymouth, England, with his older brother, Jake, and their pets. According to Jake, Daniel was a homebody. He didn't travel much, his daily routine. A short walk around the local area, that was it. The only time he went further was for a quick store run. Daniel worked as a freelance writer, covering gaming news and blog content for others. Later, Jake discovered Daniel had some debts, but nothing too serious. In the days and weeks leading up to his disappearance, everything seemed normal. No major projects, no signs of distress, no reason at all to believe he would just disappear. But then, on the morning of December 8th, Daniel did something unusual. He bought a return ticket to St. Earth Station in Cornwall, a place he had no known connection to. From there, he walked towards St. Ives. CCTV captured Daniel at the train station, and later in St. Ives at 1:28 p.m. Then at Porthmeor Beach. The last confirmed sighting of Daniel, 1:38 p.m., walking toward the coastal path. That night, Daniel never came home. Jake knew right away something was wrong. Daniel would never stay out overnight without telling someone. His family reported him missing, and police quickly traced his movements to St. Ives. But there was one major question. Why was he there? Daniel had no friends or family in the area. Maybe he was just on a day trip, but for someone as cautious as Daniel, that seemed unlikely. And what about the coastal path? Jake couldn't believe his brother would risk walking there. December weather makes the path dangerous, muddy, slippery, and treacherous. And knowing Daniel, he wouldn't have felt safe. Then, there was another thing. Daniel was afraid of water. Even though he could swim, he avoided it. So if he did fall, it almost certainly wasn't intentional. Aside from his phone, Daniel had taken a charger and shower gel. Had he planned to stay overnight? Maybe. He had a small bag, possibly with extra clothes, but his intentions that day remain a mystery. His phone last pinged from a phone mast in Camborne at 6:40 p.m., a town 20 minutes away by car. A bus connects the two towns, but Daniel's family believes he was still in St. Ives, and the phone mast location was just a signal issue. Police have spoken to witnesses, people who passed Daniel in CCTV footage, but no one saw where he went. So, what happened to Daniel Mizzi? Could he have suffered an accidental fall? The police don't believe he intentionally fell from the cliffs. But what do they think happened? For now, there are more questions than answers. At the time of his disappearance, Daniel was 35 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, with short curly brown hair. He was last seen wearing a dark jacket, jeans, and brown shoes. If you have any information, please contact local police, referencing 5023032138, because somewhere out there, Daniel Mizzi is still missing. The police in Scarborough, England, are asking for the public's help. They're searching for Leslie Davis, an 85-year-old man who hasn't been seen since December 19th, 2024. And with each passing day, concerns for his safety grow. What's known is this: Leslie left his home on Dean Road that morning, but he never came back. No calls, no sightings, no answers. His family tried to reach him, but when they couldn't, worry turned into fear. They contacted police, and a missing person case was opened immediately. Search teams moved quickly, scouring the area around his house. But Leslie was nowhere to be found. Then investigators checked nearby CCTV cameras, and that's when they spotted him, walking down the road, just a short distance from his home. But where was he going? And why hasn't anyone seen him since? One major problem: Leslie didn't have his phone with him, so police can't track his movements. Instead, they're turning to the public for help. If you live in the area, check your doorbell cameras, CCTV security footage, and dashcam recordings from that morning, because one small clue, just one, could help find Leslie. In the meantime, search efforts continue. But after 3 months with no new leads, they've begun to scale back. His family is exhausted, grateful for the volunteers who've helped, but haunted by the unknown. Posters, flyers, appeals for information, and still nothing. If you saw Leslie, if you have footage, if you know anything at all, please contact North Yorkshire Police by dialing 101 and quoting case reference number NYP 21122-024-0152, because somewhere out there, Leslie Davis is still missing. The search for 20-year-old Zakaria Chowdhury is growing more urgent by the day. A computer scientist and cybersecurity student at Sunderland University, Zakaria has been missing since February 7th, 2025, and in the weeks since, there have been no confirmed sightings, no messages, and no answers. His family is desperate for information. Zakaria's mother, Shimul Hussain, described him as outgoing and kind, but in the weeks leading up to his disappearance, something was different. He wasn't himself, and the day before he vanished, he seemed even worse. But why? His family had no idea. Zakaria was on a phone call with friends when he left his family's home in North Hilton. At 1:25 a.m., he told them he was heading to the gym. That wasn't unusual. He sometimes worked out in the early hours of the morning. But instead of going to the gym, he called an Uber. His destination? Newcastle. Zakaria was caught on CCTV at the Centre for Life. Then, he sent a photo of the high-level bridge to a few of his friends. And after that, nothing. His mother didn't even realize he was missing at first. She was usually half awake when he was at the gym, but that night, she fell into a deep sleep. And at 4:15 a.m., she was jolted awake by a knock on the door. It was the police. They told her Zakaria was missing, and when she looked into his bedroom, his door was wide open. That wasn't like him. Police found CCTV footage of him walking toward the bridge, but they never saw him come back. His phone was later recovered in a coffee shop, and according to investigators, a lot of information was found on it. But they haven't revealed what they discovered. His mother, frustrated with the investigation, believes more can be done. She's asked, how can someone just disappear off a bridge? Meanwhile, police continue searching the river, but the conditions are tough. Strong currents, poor visibility, and freezing waters make the search incredibly difficult. Zakaria is described as being 6 feet tall, with a slim build and dark hair. He was last seen wearing a blue Hugo Boss hoodie with gold stripes and black shoes with red stripes. His family isn't giving up hope. And if you have seen Zakaria or know anything about his whereabouts, please contact Northumbria Police by dialing 101 and quoting case number NP 2025 0207 0087. The disappearance of Christine Fish. The friends of 55-year-old Christine Fish are desperate for answers. They haven't seen or heard from her since February 26, 2025. And now, they're making a public appeal, begging Christine to make contact. Christine was last seen leaving a friend's house in Market Drayton, England, at around 6:30 p.m. that evening. At first, no one thought much of it. But when days passed without a single call or message, her friends began to worry. 2 days later, when there was still no sign of her, they contacted police and filed a missing person report. But what happened next only deepened the mystery. As the days turned into weeks, Christine's friends refused to sit back and wait. They organized search parties, scouring the places she was known to visit. They even got the search broadcasted on BBC radio. And that's when volunteers from all over joined in to help. But despite their efforts, Christine was nowhere to be found. Then, a strange discovery. CCTV footage surfaced, a recording from February 26th, the day she disappeared. In the footage, Christine is seen walking out of Black's, an outdoor clothing store in Shoplatch, 40 minutes away in Shrewsbury. 9:15 a.m., hours before she was last seen in Market Drayton. She had purchased a black jacket, a jacket she may still be wearing. But how did she get from Shrewsbury back to Market Drayton? And more importantly, where did she go after that? Then came another clue, a signal from Christine's phone. It was pinged on March 3rd, 3 days after she vanished, in Sutton Hill, Telford. But was Christine there? Or was someone else holding her phone? To this day, investigators don't know which direction she traveled next. In a desperate attempt for answers, police have released the CCTV footage to the public, hoping it might jog someone's memory. They're urging anyone who may have seen Christine or noticed anything unusual to come forward. People in the area have been asked to check their security cameras, their dash cams, anything that might offer clues. And on social media, Christine's photo is spreading fast. Facebook posts about her case have been shared over 2,000 times, reaching thousands of people. Christine's friends are holding on to hope. They believe she's out there, somewhere. And they just need one person to come forward with the missing piece of the puzzle. If you have seen Christine, have footage of her before she vanished, or know anything at all, please contact the Shrewsbury Police Department at 01743264807, because somewhere out there is the truth. On the night of November 14th, 2017, 36-year-old Carmel Gilmore walked into a liquor store in Parksville, Canada. She was seen on CCTV footage around 9 p.m., looking confused, disoriented, and paranoid. And then, she vanished. She's never been seen or heard from again. What happened to Carmel Gilmore? According to staff at the liquor depot on Alberni Highway, Carmel wasn't acting like herself that night. Witnesses say she seemed uneasy, almost as if she felt like someone was watching her. And maybe she was right. At the time, she was going through a breakup. Her boyfriend was ending their relationship, and he would be the one to report her missing. But his story, it only makes things more bizarre. Her boyfriend later told investigators that after she left the store, she asked him to drive with her to a place called Little Mountain. He agreed. At around 10:30 p.m., they arrived. He got out of the van expecting Carmel to do the same, but instead, she put the van in gear and sped off. She left him behind, and just like that, she was gone. At first, her boyfriend assumed she'd be back, but as the minutes stretched into hours, and then into the next morning, he realized something was very wrong. He hadn't heard from Carmel, and worse, his wallet and belongings were still in her van. The next day, he contacted the police and filed a missing persons report. Most people would immediately suspect the boyfriend. After all, he was the last person to see her. But investigators found him to be cooperative. He answered all their questions, and soon, he was ruled out as a suspect. For 6 days, there was no sign of Carmel. And then, police found her van, a 2002 Chevy Venture, sitting abandoned on Qualicum Beach, Vancouver Island. It had been sitting there since the night she disappeared, parked near a bar called Shady Rest Pub. Locals told investigators they had seen it there before, but no one had seen who left it. And when police searched the van, they found nothing, no signs of a struggle, no evidence of foul play. It was as if she had simply parked it, stepped out, and vanished into thin air. Even stranger, None of her personal belongings were inside. No clothes, no bags, nothing. Yet, there were clues that suggested she had been living in the van for quite some time. So, where did her things go? And more importantly, where did Carmel go? Carmel's mother, Barbara Gilmore, has never stopped searching for her daughter. She believes Carmel met with foul play, that someone took advantage of her vulnerability. Carmel had been homeless for a while, and Barbara fears this may have made her an easy target. But investigators disagree. They believe that either Carmel disappeared by choice, or that she may have suffered an accident of some kind. Barbara isn't convinced. In December 2023, she shared her story on the podcast True North True Crime, hoping to bring fresh attention to her daughter's case. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there knows the truth. It's been over 6 years since Carmel vanished. If she's still alive, she would be 41 years old today. She is described as 5 feet 6 inches tall, hazel eyes, short brown hair, weighing around 150 pounds at the time of her disappearance. If you have any information about what happened to Carmel Gilmore, please contact the Oceanside RCMP at 250-248-6111 and quote file number 20171-0474. Maybe someone, somewhere, remembers something, and maybe it's time for Carmel to finally come home. Santra Sajju, a 22-year-old woman from Edinburgh, has been missing for nearly 2 months, and her family is growing increasingly worried. Despite multiple appeals from the police, no one has been able to determine her whereabouts. Investigators have released a CCTV image of Santra, hoping someone might recognize her and provide useful information. She was last seen on December 6, 2024, in the South Gyle area of Edinburgh. Later that evening, she was spotted in the Burnvale area of Livingston around 8:30 p.m. This sighting was followed by a confirmed appearance at an Asda store in Almondvale, Livingston, sometime between 9:10 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. That was the last time anyone saw her. Since then, there's been no contact, which is extremely out of character. Further investigation revealed that, before arriving at the supermarket, Santra had traveled to a house in Burnvale, where she had picked up 2 bags, one black and one white shopping bag. However, when she was later seen on CCTV inside Asda, she no longer had them. Authorities have not disclosed whether they know what was inside the bags or who gave them to her. The fact that she was later seen without them raises questions about whether she left them somewhere for later retrieval or handed them over to someone else. Santra's family is desperate for answers. They have described her as someone who always stays in touch with loved ones, making her sudden disappearance deeply concerning. They fear she may have been harmed and are pleading with the public for any information that could help find her. In case Santra herself sees their messages, they have urged her to reach out in any way, just to let them know she is safe. On Friday, December 27th, 2024, at approximately 11:55 a.m., Police Scotland was alerted to the discovery of a body in the water near Newbridge. Formal identification has yet to take place. However, the family of 22-year-old Santra Sajju has been informed, police stated. At this time, her death is not believed to be suspicious. Authorities confirmed that a report would be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal, Scotland's legal body responsible for prosecutions and death investigations. Santra was last seen on CCTV at an Asda supermarket in Almondvale, Livingston, on the evening of December 6th. Following her disappearance, police issued an urgent missing person appeal, describing her as approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall, of Indian ethnicity, with a slim build and short black hair. Inspector Alison Laurie from Corstorphine Police Station shared further details, stating, "We now know that Santra picked up a black and white shopper-style bag from an address in Burnvale on Friday evening, but she no longer had it when she entered the supermarket. This bag is quite distinctive, and someone may recall seeing her carrying it. We continue to analyze CCTV footage and have released images from the supermarket in hopes that someone recognizes her." Santra's disappearance was described by friends and family as highly out of character. Deeply concerned for her well-being, they had grown increasingly worried in the days following her sudden vanishing. The last time she was seen, she was wearing a grey jacket with a fur-lined hood. Her family also noted that she often wears a black face mask and grey earmuffs in cold weather. In the CCTV footage, she had her mask on, though it is unclear whether she was also wearing the earmuffs, as her hood was up. Anyone who has seen Santra or has any information about her movements on December 6th is asked to contact Police Scotland by calling 101 and quoting incident number 3390.